Mother in Song Newark, have you heard this story? A haunting story of revenge witnessed by a girlfriend. My name is Emma. This year is a pretty important time. The time when I have to go away from my home to go to college. I have to study at a school very far from my home. I have to rent a small house. And cheap because my family is not a well-off family, so it only has enough money to pay my university tuition, and I have to pay for everything else myself. I have to work at a coffee shop in the riverbank, not far from the house I rented. I had to work to earn more money for my tiring student life. The first day I went to work, I was told by the shop owner, "Hey Emma, tell me, don't go near that riverbank after 4 p.m. I replied, "Yes, but what's wrong?" "You don't need to know, just don't come close," she said. I still don't understand why, but I still have to answer, yes. At the shop, besides me and the shop owner, there are 2 other employees. One is a female named Linda, quite sociable and a bit funny. The other is a male named Daniel. He rarely speaks a few words but usually only says things like, "No, yes or yes." Nothing was unusual until one day my shop closed down quite late. Normally, it closes at 5:30 p.m., but that day it was so crowded that I worked until 7 p.m. At 5 p.m. the shop owner said the shop was out of sugar, so he asked Linda to go buy it. Because the shop was near the sugar shop, Linda just walked. When she arrived, the sugar shop was closed. Linda thought, if it's time to go home, if I don't have sugar on hand, Miss Tam, the shop owner, will curse me, but if I stay here, I can't buy it. She was thinking when suddenly she looked across the river. On the opposite river bank there was a grocery store. She immediately intended to go there. Linda was just about to take a detour away from the river bank, but because she was lazy she went straight. Go down to the river bank so it's close. While walking, it was okay, but after buying sugar, while walking from the river bank to the shop, she heard a sound from the river. Linda was startled but still decided to run closer to the riverbank to see if anything was going on. What caught her eye when she approached was an extremely horrifying scene. She saw a lot of arms. The slimy black color was waving on the water surface. She was so scared at this point that she quickly ran back to the shop. As soon as she got back to the shop, she immediately told the shop owner and everyone else what happened. As soon as she heard it, he shouted, "Your mother, I told you that if you go, you have to take a detour. Don't take the road along the river, you have to avoid the river. Now if you don't hurry up and see if the teacher is leaving, he will beat you up." Linda thought it was just a normal thing, nothing serious, so she didn't go see the teacher but went home and slept. Who would have thought that while she was sleeping, there would be a loud noise that woke her up, she said. Listening carefully, it was a knock on the door, or should it be called a banging sound on the door. She thought she just heard it wrong, but the sound became increasingly stronger. She was so scared that she prayed, "Nam Pho Amitabha Buddha, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva will bless you through this night." When she finished praying, the banging sound no longer came out. She thought everything was fine. Then suddenly the door opened automatically. A group of people walked in. Because she was so scared, she was about to pray when an old lady's voice said, "Linda, it's Mom, I'm coming to visit you." Linda's mother passed away 3 years ago. She thought she was coming to visit, so she immediately ran to hug her mother, sobbing, feeling warm from being welcomed. Hugging her mother suddenly turned from warm to cold. She quickly looked up at her mother's face to see what it looked like. She was extremely frightened. The face that had previously been her mother's face was now turned into a black face, with some moss on it. That thing said, "You think I'm your mother?" She was scared and screamed, then she sat up startled. It turned out she was just dreaming. Because she was so scared, she wrapped herself in a blanket and slept until morning. When she went to work, she told everyone about last night. After hearing that, the shop owner cursed, "You stupid dog. I told you to go check on the teacher but you didn't listen. I gave you the day off today." Linda, "Yes, I'm going." Then she invited me to go with her, and because I was excited to go, I followed. When we arrived, it was a small house. She and I went inside. As soon as we entered, a voice rang out. "Already here?" Vong said that thoughtfully and full of fervor. My sister and I walked into the room with the shaman next to us and greeted him. As far as I heard, his name was Teacher Mark. He was a quite strong man, about 30 to 40 years old, and looked quite handsome. The teacher said, "You guys came at the right time, I will help you tomorrow." "Thank you, teacher, I hope you can help me," Linda replied. The teacher gave Linda and I each a talisman. Teacher Mark said it was a protective talisman. My sister and I immediately took it and put it in our pockets. The night passed peacefully. At 12 noon today, Teacher Mark and two young men went to the river bank. In the hands of the first young man was holding a tambourine, the second young man was holding a tambourine, a chanting bell. He burned 3 incense sticks and placed them on the incense bowl on the worship table. After placing the incense, the monk sang, "Catch Kim Fang, Pumpkin Orchid." A column over rafter is a rafter over a column. The oil-selling man falls when walking through the bridge. Note sold stay as detailed frog. The teal plays the drum and blows the trumpet. The piglet blows toi tetutek. As the teacher sang, 2 young men also tapped the drums and beat the bell to the rhythm of the song. After singing, the teacher muttered incomprehensible Chinese sentences, then suddenly he shouted loudly, "Heaven's spirit, earth's spirit, ghosts and water ghosts, return peace to innocent people." The teacher finished speaking, he bit his lip hard and spit out his blood. After finishing the ceremony, the monk packed his things and left. After that, Linda no longer encountered strange things. After a week, while I was falling asleep, I heard a whisper in my ear. I heard that thing say, "Emma, Emma, avenge me." At first I thought I heard it right, but then on the second and third night, it was still the same. I found it strange, so I told Linda, and it was surprising, she also heard. My sister and I quickly went to Teacher Mark to ask. When asked, she answered with a surprised face, "So the resentment of that water demon is too great, I can't help it, there is only one way." "What way?" Linda and I asked. The teacher replied, "You have to ask him what's going on that makes him carry such heavy resentment." "Miss Linda, so how to ask him?" He replied, "I know a psychic, he will help you, let me have his phone number." "Yes," Linda replied. "Teacher Mark, the number is XXX. Me and my sister, thank you teacher." That night, because I was so scared, I moved in to stay with Linda for one night. Because she was also scared, she was extremely happy to hear I was coming over. That night, that voice still spoke, but this time it didn't. Not revenge but, thank you. The next day, we called the psychic. He said he would come in an hour and a half. My sister and I cleaned up and prepared to welcome him. The psychic came and introduced himself. "I'm Robert, I've heard what Mr. Mrak told me. Just wait a bit until it's a good time to go to the medium." After listening, Mr. and I could only nod. At this point, Teacher Mark sets out a tray, which includes a plate of fruit, a plate of boiled meat and boiled shrimp, candies, wine, and notes from the underworld. Teacher Robert lights 2 green tea incense sticks and sticks them on the tree. The banana had been cut. After the ceremony, he wrapped a red scarf and sat down on the ground. He began to read, "Heaven Spirit, Earth Spirit, Yin and Yang Spirit, please support Mother Guan Yin to the same level according to the law. Come in." And just after reading it, from Mr. Robert's side, a voice that Linda and I could not mistake, was the voice of what I heard whispering in my ear. That voice said, "Hello everyone, I would like to tell you a story that I need your help with. Do you know Daniel?" My sister and I replied, "I know, he works with us." "Ha, that motherfucker, that damn dog," said the ghost. We asked again, "Why do you curse like that?" The ghost said, "Once upon a time, I was his best friend, but because he was too greedy, he killed me to take over my property. He killed me by drowning me in this river, but he was still only trapped. He went to prison for 6 years. After he got out, he spent a lot of money and was in debt. Now he has to work at this cafe to pay off his debt. I really want to take revenge on him, but unfortunately he has 2 talismans on him. So I can't touch it. Me and Miss I, so now you want us to help you, right?" He said, "I'm now a water ghost, so I just need you to take off the charm on its neck for me and I'll do it for you. There is a way to kill it. Now what do I have to do to remove the charm?" Daniel has those charms on him very tightly. Miss Linda replied. The ghost continued, "His charms are very tight, but this kind of charm, when its owner goes to the bathroom, it must be taken off. It will probably be kept in its backpack." Me okay. Just when Linda went in to see if Daniel had gone to the bathroom, she was very surprised. Daniel was going to the bathroom. She immediately went to look for his backpack. She found Daniel's backpack. Linda ran to see if there was anything. "Is there a talisman in there?" "There are 2 talismans in the backpack. They are actually in a briefcase." After taking the amulet out of her bag, Linda was hesitating when a voice spoke in her ear, "Do it. Quickly. Rub your saliva on those 2 amulets." After touching the 2 amulets, Linda's saliva immediately turned black and then burned to ash. Linda shouted, "Daniel! Someone threw your car into the river." Hearing that, Daniel also ran to the riverbank. Even though he was scared, he still did not forget to take his backpack. After going to the riverbank, Daniel realized that today his car broke down and he was riding a motorbike taxi. Mr. Van sighed and said in a damped voice, "You're an adult but you still play like a child." Then he reached into his backpack to look for a talisman. He searched and searched but couldn't find the amulet. Daniel's face began to panic. Looked toward the riverbank. There was a rumbling sound in the river, then an angry voice rang out, "I've been waiting for this day for a long time." Daniel's pitiful scream rang out. Daniel's face was scratched by the ghost and pulled straight into the river. Daniel gradually sank into the water and disappeared. The ghost's voice rang out, "I have paid this revenge, now I have to go to reincarnation, goodbye." 12 years later, I have now become a department head of an advertising company. Today is the day I return to the place that made a terrifying image of me. It is that's the place, and here is the end of the story. Everyone who listens to the story finds it interesting. Please give me one like and one subscriber. I hope everyone has fun listening to the story. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.